Over a year and a half ago, I made a video where I said, not going to start this collection. Man, my hair was short then. Anyway, fast forward a year and a half and, well, yeah. Here's why I changed my mind. Hi, I'm Phil, welcome to my channel where I like to talk about all the geeky pop culture that I enjoy, including things like Star Trek, Power Rangers, and of course, Doctor Who. Now, in that video I made a year and a half ago, or the before times, as we like to call them now, I made a list of several reasons why I wasn't going to be buying the collection box sets. And quite clearly, I have changed my mind. I now own all of them. So I thought for this video, I would go through and explain why some of those don't apply anymore to me personally, and just generally why I changed my mind on it. So let's deal with some of the points I made in that initial video to start with. Duplication. I already pointed out that I already owned a lot of the classic series. Not all of them, but I owned a lot of them, and it didn't quite seem justifiable to then replace them all with something that, to me at the time, didn't feel like it was that much more special than what I already had on my shelf. I'm not a massive particular techno buff in terms of like quality of the visual on the screen, so when it came to the upscaling and things like that, that wasn't really something that has ever really sold me on Blu-ray. To this day, despite owning a Blu-ray player, before I bought these collection box sets, I maybe owned 5 or 6 Blu-rays. I still buy most of my films on DVD because I'm just not that fussed about having 4K resolution and all that sort of stuff and upscaled things. That doesn't particularly interest me, and therefore there didn't seem much point in replacing my DVDs of stories with the same stories on Blu-ray. And this is the big area of change on this topic of duplication, because initially I wasn't that fussed about the extra features, but having started to see people's reactions to them, having seen various clips of them over time, and going to one of the BFI events and seeing the whole of one on a big screen, I started to realise that these new extras were actually really quite good, and I wouldn't mind owning them. Unfortunately, by that point, Series 12 had already sold out. Sorry, Season 12 had already sold out. And now, having now owned them and watched a bunch of them, I can say they were definitely worth it. Another point I made was about sparse availability. There are sort of two sides to this. The first part is that Season 12 had, as I just said, already sold out by the time I had made that video. I'd missed the boat on it. I hadn't really been paying attention to what was coming up and releases. I kind of vaguely heard there was something. I hadn't clocked that it would be that it would sell out so quickly, so I just kind of let it pass me by. And then before I knew it, I was hearing people talk about it having sold out and there going for ridiculous amounts of money on eBay. So the second part of it wasn't just that I couldn't get hold of Season 12 for a reasonable price. It was that I was worried about the sparse availability of future releases, because I wasn't sure at that point that I would be able to pre-order every single release, that I would have the funds available to pre-order as and when they were coming out. I couldn't budget massively in advance for it because you never know when they're going to announce one. So I was slightly worried that I would miss out on future sets as well, not because I wasn't paying attention, but maybe because I wouldn't have the money at the time. Now, this criticism has been at least a little bit addressed by, just general financial stability improvements in my life. I can now be relatively sure that I can afford to pre-order every set. Not completely sure, but a hell of a lot more sure than I was a year and a half ago. And so that kind of worry about missing out on future sets has evaporated. Then I went on to talk about the logo. Not because I don't like the 13th Doctor's modern logo that adorns these sets, but because, again, it was worry about the future and worry about the inconsistency of my shelf. I'm a completist and I like things to look all nice and neat. I like, the same logo on everything, if possible. I was worried about a repeat of the VHS era where, they had like 5 different logos on various different box sets. So, one tape could have the 4th Doctor logo on it. There wasn't even a 4th Doctor story. The next one could have the 80s logo. The next one could have the TV movie logo, and they would all be chopping and changing all over the place on your shelf, and it would have stressed me out a little bit. That is still a risk, but it's one that I'm given all of the other things on this list that have evaporated or at least got less for me. It was one I figured I would take a risk on. I mean, they did keep it consistent with the DVDs, so I'm hopeful that even if the logo for the show changes, just gonna hope that they keep it the same on the Blu-ray box sets. Next was shelf organization. Now, one point I made, and it's not something I'm doing at the moment, it's not something I was doing when I made that video, is that I like the ability to create a shelf one day when I have space. I do not have that space at the moment. To have a massive big shelf with all Doctor Who stories I own on it, in Doctor chronological order, and that means having audios and books slotted in between the DVDs, in between the TV stories, so that I can have it all as one big sort of timeline of the Doctor's life. That is my eventual dream to one day have, and it may have to wait until the kids have moved out and we've got a spare bedroom again, but one day I might do that. But you can't do that with box sets, because there's stories that Big Finish have made and that books have been published about that fit in between the stories, that are like, there will be ones that fit in between the stories in this box set. So where, you know, I could just put them afterwards, sure, but that doesn't quite fulfill the dream that I have for this bookshelf. So I hope that one day I can do that. So to overcome that, I've decided that I'm just going to keep all of my DVDs, and I still don't have the entire classic series on DVD, so I'm going to still continue to buy the DVDs as well. I'm going to complete my DVD collection as well as completing and collecting the collection sets. That's how I've gotten over this one, so that one day I still will be able to create that bookshelf with the Doctor's chronological timeline on it. And somewhere else I'll then just have the collection box sets on a different shelf. But if there was one biggest reason that was holding me back from starting collecting these sets, it was the idea that I would never be able to complete them, because season 12 had sold out. I've mentioned this several times. This is the biggest reason why I didn't start collecting them, because I missed the boat. Season 12 had sold now. It was going for ridiculous prices on eBay that I definitely did not want to pay, and you know, I hate having an incomplete set, or a set that I know would be ridiculously expensive to complete. So in the end, I decided, well, if I can't get that, what's the point? And the biggest thing that changed my mind on collecting these sets was when they announced the season 12 re-release. Literally, as soon as that was available to buy, I pre-ordered it. I then went around and bought every other box set that was still available. I then set about trying to track down the slightly cheaper ones that were in between, and if I could get them for a reasonable price I was going to buy them then, but I also then had the hope that they would also be re-released, because season 12 had been re-released, so there was always the chance that they would probably re-release the other ones at some point as well. And thankfully, I didn't even need to do that, because I found that I think the one other one that was sold out, I found for only £10 more than the recommended retail price on eBay. So I thought, that's okay, I don't mind paying £10 more. I can live with that. So I got that one and eventually built up my set, and I've been pre-ordering them ever since. And there you go, that is why I changed my mind. I made this video because that video I made previously still gets views, quite a lot of views, and also I still get people on Twitter every time I'm talking about buying the sets go,
hang on, I thought you weren't buying them.
Exactly. So I thought I'd better make a video explaining it. Deborah, or Oh My Dinosaur on YouTube, as she's also known, is one of those people that has commented on the past about the fact that I have made that video, and yet I keep talking about buying the new sets. So there you go. I've now explained it. You can all stop pointing it out. Thank you very much. I'll be here for more Doctor Who videos soon. I'm doing my Time Lord Victorious Canon Update series at the moment, which explains how everything fits together. Every week I cover the releases that came out in the multi-platform Doctor Who events that week, and the bullet points of what we learnt in terms of the new lore and how it all connects together. So if you're only getting a part of the story, or even none of the story, you can get a gist of what's going on. So if you haven't already, please do go check that out. I'm also up to almost 3,000 subscribers, and it would be great to get there by the end of 2020. So if you are watching this and you haven't subscribed and you like Doctor Who, then please do hit that subscribe button for more content like this. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.